So Lauren Nolen on your right-hand side, grandmother nowhere to be seen. He is playing what appears to be
Esper Stone.
Esper. I'm just looking for counterbalance, basically. It does not appear it's in the list. So yeah, he's basically playing Stoneforge control. And on our left we have
Richard Centanni with Sneak and Show. I'm cheering for Richard, despite all the down hominess Oklahoma pickup, grandmas at the tables. I'm sick of these fair decks.
Yeah, me too.
I want to see 15-15 thundering into the red zone. I want to see permanents scattered to the wind.
I have seen too many veteran explorers just sort of attacking and blocking today. My patience for this has been capped.
Not one minor advantage. Not a little dickory, got a little point here.
No, I want someone.
Here's a piece of mana. I want the table to snap under the weight of a 15-15 creature.
Well, on the plus side for you, it appears Lauren is on 4 cards.
Well, that's not fun either.
His opening hand is Scrubland, Plow, Preordain, and Jit, and that was his keepable 4.
And Richard puts his sackland directly into the graveyard.
Yep.
What is that? A Steam Vents? Steam Vents, Sulfur Falls.
Scalding Tarn.
Scalding Tarn.
For an island.
One of those.
That island is going to ponder.
So for those of you who don't know how the Sneak and Show deck works, he's got 4 Emrakuls, the Aeon Torns. What's the plural of that? Emrakul, the Aeon Torns, right? The actual name of the card is Emrakul, the Aeon Torn. So even though it's a dude, you just added on the Torns, right?
Yes.
He's got 4 Emrakul, the Aeon Torns and 4 Gristlebrands, and he can get them into play quickly via Sneak Attack and or Show and Tell. And you don't want to get hit by one of those guys, basically.
So Richard added a Petal to his board last turn, and another Tarn and says go. Lotus Petal and the blue lands are definitely a giveaway of the Sneak and Show archetype.
So, thinking about tapping an island. Tappity tap. Brainstorm. Do you think this deck would gain some value from just like a Gitaxian Probe? See what they've got. I
think a couple of Gitaxian Probes from these. Like I've seen them before.
Yep.
I believe. I'm not sure. Corbett Gray plays this deck a lot. I may be wrong, but I believe the last time I saw him, he had like 2 Gitaxian Probes in his list. It is basically just free and the information. Yeah.
Sweet, you're dead.
Yeah. Do you have Caracas or like one of the 2 other cards that actually matter here? No. All right, you're dead.
So, Richard Centanni fixing his hand a little bit more with Brainstorm. I mean, obviously Richard's got so much rope to work with because it's like turn 100 and Lauren's still only 1 land.
Just got Scrubland in play.
Mulled to nil, and Richard's hand's like full of free counters, right? It's just actually just like so pregnant with free counters. Here we go. 4 down, Sneak Attack. How clever. Okay.
Pedal for
Tapping
red.
for red. Gristlebrand. Okay. Draw 7.
All right. So
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. What do we got? Let's look at my hand. Any sweet? It's actually just nothing, right?
All right, concession.
Okay.
Lauren actually had a Plow in his hand, but he's been around the block enough times to know that it's all right to just let that game go. You don't have to Plow the Gristlebrand and then wait for next turn, where your 1 scrub land is swept away by Annihilator 6 trigger. It's fine. Just let it go.
Oh, Plow. I guess I'll just. Is 14 a gauche number to draw?
Yeah.
So, I'm actually disappointed. 7/7 is not even half as big as the creature that I willed to hit the table.
Sideboard action jackson.
So, Mind Break Trap not going to come through. The Breach is actually okay, right?
I think Through the Breach is predominantly for matchups where you need to cut Show and Tell because they're doing the same stuff.
Okay.
I believe that's basically what it's in there for.
How's Blood Moon? Is there a good chicanery here?
Well, here's part of the problem. Richard doesn't even know. I mean, if Lauren is
a fair.
Lauren could just be like a Dead Guy Ale style deck with a bunch of plains and swamps. There's no guarantee that.
So Lauren's got the charming Tom Martell mana base, right? Exactly enough basics to cast Jace if you're completely pinned.
2 islands, 1 plains, 1 swamp, 1 scrub land. Yeah, this is the.
Yeah. one Caracas.
Caracas misspelled 2 different ways on the deck red sheet.
Next to each other.
Yeah, neither is scribbled out.
And there's like an X next to the It's actually strange.
Yeah, he has a Caracas, I believe, is what we're gathering here. He has some action in the sideboard. He has 2 copies of Cabal Therapy, 2 Spell Pierces, a Disenchant, Thoughtseize, and a Hydroblast, all very good here. He has 2 copies of Surgical Extraction. Now
these cards are all sweet in this matchup.
Surgical Extraction is sort of it's a weird one in this matchup. It's not always good, obviously, because the Sneak and Show deck isn't that graveyard oriented, but often they're intuitioning for combo pieces, and Surgical Extraction is a great answer to intuition.
It's also just Gitaxian Probe, right? So like Gitaxian Probe, take 2, don't draw, but I know how to set up my next X turns.
Right. So a lot of whether or not he wants to bring that card in is based on whether what garbage he has in his deck, basically. He's got a Supreme Verdict, an Umezawa's Jit, 3 copies of Lingering Souls.
He needs to hit with something, right? Like Lingering Souls takes a lot of the pressure to win off.
It's just too
slow.
It's just too anemic. Like at least Stoneforge gets Batterskull, and that's like a pretty fast clock, and it's not a huge mana investment. Lingering Souls to be an appreciable clock is just for forever. It takes forever. So anyhow, Lauren definitely.
And you might as well take out Intuition as well if you're going to make that play. Unless you're going to Intuition for Force of Will.
Yeah, I think Intuition's still fine. You can also Intuition for like your 3 Jaces to put the game away quickly once it's stable. I think he's got cards that are worse than that. But yeah, he has a little bit more removal. Disenchant is, I think, actually a fine sideboard card because often the Sneak and Show deck is just playing a naked sneak attack, and you can disenchant it, or you can actually
take out the pedal.
What?
You just take out the pedal.
You can take out the pedal. You can also sometimes you can actually if you have counters, if you can fire back next turn, you can actually take like 1 shot from a Griselbrand and maybe be able to like finagle the game from there. But yeah, Disenchant I think is fine in this matchup, often because the Sneak and Show deck just has to. It's hard for it to actually cobble together 2 red mana. It's not a guarantee that can happen. It needs 5 and 2 red, which is not the easiest thing to do. So
Lauren's got Red Elemental Blast, actually pretty good.
Yeah, for sure.
Stops any number of key cards: Intuition, Jace the Mind Sculptor, a counter spell of some sort. He's got Spell Pierce, okay. You don't think Blood Moon is worth the investment?
Well, I think Richard can't even be sure about what deck he's playing. I don't think Blood Moon effects are very good against the Martel mana base. Yeah, they can have their moments, but if it
depends on time, right? So the Martel mana base is designed to defeat Wasteland because you can sculpt it with sack lands, but if you preempt a sack land with a Blood Moon, it's not searching for anything.
Right.
So, Lauren Nolen, evaluating his hand, likes it enough to play a first-turn island. Richard Centanni pulls a pink sleeve. Misty Rainforest. Is that it? It looks like, is that a City of Traders in his hand?
Yes.
Oh, he's exploding his Misty Rainforest in response to Brainstorm, and gets a basic island.
And looks like Lawrence just picked up a Lingering Soul, some lands. He has a couple Jaces, a Force of Will in his hand. Another very important card that Lauren has is Caracas.
Oh, that card is unbelievable.
It basically just cuts off the Emrakul angle.
It makes Griselbrand, as good as a Yawgmoth's Bargain is,
Yeah.
It makes it into just a Yawgmoth's Bargain, right? Rather than a lifelinking flying Yawgmoth's Bargain.
Right, and Lauren wants to sandbag this card as long as possible because if Richard goes for show and telling in Emrakul, he just...
I mean, that card is never leaving Lauren's hand, right? Until it's going to hit play.
I think we might have actually just preordained it away.
No, I can't
He left it on top and then preordained it's not in his hand. I think he should go to the bottom.
Oh, well. Are you... Daze.
Daze is the Thoughtseize.
You force there? No, it's not worth it, right?
Probably not. It's not like Richard's going to kill you next turn.
I mean, you actually stole half a turn anyway by getting, like, the Daze. The Daze trades 1 for 1 with Thoughtseize, but then you steal his land drop.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
And a Vendilion click for Loren, and this is a big draw. Because he needs to get some sort of pressure going.
Yeah, it's pretty great. Like, he both puts a 7 turn clock on, probably 6 turn clock really, on Richard, and he probably delays Richard's ability to go off by a turn, right?
Yes.
At a minimum. So.
And possibly for forever, because some of the pieces are not super redundant.
So, Loren's probably gonna. Do you think he's gonna end step or what with a
draw step?
Okay.
Because like Richard actually can go off from here, like 2-mana land, show and tell, with force back up. I mean, it's not. You probably need to click now because it's not inconceivable. So you're looking at
misdirection. I don't know what the first card
wipe
is.
Away.
Wipe away. That's like a boomerang, right?
Yeah.
Emrakul, repeal, intuition, Gristlebrand,
Emrakul.
I hate to say it. Do you not push anything? Do you push intuition?
I think it has to be intuition, right? If it's going to be anything.
Well, Richard doesn't have red. He doesn't have show and tell. His land drop is Ancient Tomb is fine.
Force of Will is Misdirection is a Force of Will that redirects a targeted spell instead of countering it. For those of you who have not seen that one.
So this is what do you push intuition or you do nothing? I'm not sure. I'd be tempted to do nothing.
I think that you have to take intuition. Richard has no other play to make this turn. He just plays Ancient Tomb and passes anyway. And that intuition is almost certainly going to cobble together something that you have to counter at some point anyway.
Okay. Loren did not agree with you. It looks like Lingering Souls is in his hand.
Yes. Yeah, and he's shoving intuition to the bottom.
Yeah, one or the other, I thought.
Yeah.
So Richard's probably going to play the Ancient Tomb, right? So.
Yeah, I don't think he had another land drop in hand.
It looks like he still doesn't have another one. Misdirection. I'm not sure what he drew there.
Another repeal, it looks like.
Possible. I think he only has 2 repeals, so that would be the both of them. So Loren's attacking for 3. He's going to put Richard down to 16. And, I mean, he can stick Mind Sculptor, no?
He doesn't have a 4th
he doesn't have a 4th land. And then probably going to be Stoneforge Mystic.
Yeah.
Stoneforge should just be able to like go get like a blue equipment, just as a throwaway to Force of Will.
The only issue that I have with casting Stoneforge Mystic here is that you're allowing Richard to cycle his repeal, where otherwise it would just be stranded this turn. And I don't think that Stoneforge appreciably changes your clock very much.
I think that that's a great observation.
This is dangerous business now.
I think Loren might not have even seen that play, despite knowing there's a repeal in his hand.
Yeah. It's like, he only has a Force of Will to hold off Richard here. He doesn't have a ton of gas in his hand, you know?
He just bought him a land?
Yeah, I mean...
Literally just bought him a land. What do we got here? There's no real action. He has another repeal, right?
He has another repeal in his hand, yeah.
So he can go 2, 3, 4... Well, I mean, Loren's got 3 Force of Wills, so it's not like...
He's got 2 forces, but I don't think he has... I don't know if he has Jace, Force, or does he have just Force, Jace?
I thought it was 3 Force of Wills and 1 Jace. No, 2 Force of Wills, a Jace.
He doesn't have another blue card yet. He's clearly likely to brainstorm into something, but...
I would just smash down Mind Sculptor right here, I think. It doesn't change his ability to force, right?
Yeah, no, you had to slam Mind Sculptor.
Here comes Tundra. Loren's agreeing with something, nods a little bit. Ruben Bressler standing behind him, just trying desperately to get on camera.
I guess the issue with just jamming Jace here is that Loren's aware that Daze is in Richard's deck. He's shown Daze, so that's...
Yeah.
You know, but he has nothing better to do.
So what's the play? Brainstorm? I mean, Fate Seal's irrelevant, right?
Yeah, because of the Rainforest. And he has to find another blue card anyway because he wants to be able to force twice.
Agree. And he can also just get rid of Sword of Feast and Famine,
well,
so he can rebuy it again.
If he has a 5th land, oh, that's awesome. He found a counter spell and 2 fetch lands.
He's definitely putting back like Lingering Soul, Sword of Feast and Famine.
The
or,
sword's quite good next turn because he actually
just cast it.
He can cast it, equip, and hit.
But he doesn't. He can just put it on top and then draw it.
Oh yeah.
I think just putting it back is my point.
No,
he kept it. All right, so Richard Centanni breaks Misty Rainforest, goes for Volcanic Island. So the thing about Richard's hand is he has no fix to his hand.
Yes, he just has cards.
So, like, I mean, unless he gets to the point where he could just hard cast. I mean, that's not realistic, is it? Hard casting Emrakul?
No way. I don't think he has 15 mana total in the deck.
He has exactly 15. If he has 3 ancient, you can't get 2 City of Traders in play, right? One will sacrifice.
Correct.
Yeah, so he cannot cast it.
I mean, I'm willing to bet there's one sneak and show matchup somewhere once where that kind of thing happened, but. And the thing is, ideally, what Lauren would like to do now is go sword equip, attack you, and then I get to untap with counterspell plus force of will plus like all this blue action in my hand. But Richard, we know, has another repeal, so if he goes for sword equip, he gets to repeal the sword, and then Lauren presumably doesn't want to fight over that, and then he actually can't pull up counterspell this turn.
You rather repeal the sword than repeal the click?
It depends how fast Richard thinks he can go off. If he's going to be sitting here for a little while anyway,
yeah.
Letting him click again is pretty, like, it's not awesome given that Richard's hand's clearly not that explosive.
I mean, he has to take 2 to even cast the repeal, right? No, he can just tap the City of Traders. I think I would be inclined to repeal the click. I mean, especially if Lauren's going to be all tapped out.
Yeah, it's curious. Now that Lauren's hand is so good, he's found a Spell Pierce. I'm not sure if he's even willing to risk trying to equip the sword onto...
I would not. That's why I was pretty for getting rid of the sword, you know?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I would just attack for 3 and sit.
Yeah. The thing is, the upside of doing this is, like, the sword on the click turns the clock into 2 turns. Richard's had 2 turns. All right, he's gonna. I guess Lauren's hand at this point has gotten good enough where he's comfortable just sitting. He's got counter spells, pierce, force.
Yeah, he can just like hard cast multiple.
Yeah.
Counter spells. Like he can just load up with like counter spell, spell pierce for whatever Richard wants to do, and then force only if he has to.
Yeah. Lingering Soul's still hanging out.
That thing would have been gone if it were me. I don't want that.
Oh boy, we're casting it.
All right. I mean, he still has counterspell up, and he can force.
Yeah.
Or pierce, right? But he's going to cast a regular counterspell to open no matter what, I think.
Yeah, the upside to doing this is that it basically turns his clock into 1 turn, lethal next turn, if Richard has to use his Ancient Tomb to do whatever he needs to do.
Okay. I mean, assuming there's no disruption on the sword, right?
Yeah.
But, I mean, like, just repeal for 0 is going to break up a kill.
Yeah.
That actually brings up an interesting politic, right? Like, do you equip a token versus do you equip... I think you have to equip the click to remove the possibility of repeal for 0. Like...
Well, what if that... Yeah, probably, because then your clock's actually not lethal for like another 2 turns or something.
It's really disruptive if you commit that way.
Curious to see what Intuition is finding.
Looks like sneak attack X3. I mean, Richard knows that he's in trouble.
Yeah.
He also doesn't have a second red to activate sneak attack, which is
another thing.
Really puzzling to me. I think. Like, through the breach would be like... Well, I don't think he couldn't intuition, but there's only 2 through the breaches. And then he's just repealing now. Okay. I actually think No, I guess you have to let that stick.
Yeah, because even if you pierce it, it's like... You're still... He can pay and you're not lethal next turn.
pedal, okay.
That's big because it means he has a second red.
Terrible. That screws up the Pierce mana. Right?
Yes. Although Pierce might not necessarily be on his radar.
This is completely unnecessary for his plan. He has no backup right now. He has a turn. But the thing is, I don't think he wants to be in a position where he has a turn, but Lauren has another untap. Draws another card. Uses
another
Jace
pedal
again.
And here we go.
Sneak attack.
We're going to see if Lauren's counterspell and 2 forces are enough to stave this off.
I would actually just spell pierce this. You spell pierce this, what are the chances he doesn't just sacrifice both pedals, right?
Yeah, very high. And then you keep counterspelling your hand for next turn. So misdirection is going to basically force a will to counter by having the counter now target itself.
And then force a will, the sneak attack, probably using brainstorm.
Yep.
And game.
Yeah, that's it.
You agree with spell pierce, right?
I think I like spell pierce better, yeah. Because it's like, if he goes, all right, sack my 2 pedals and pay, then you go force a will.
Force, yeah.
Then
it's like devastating.
You can force again, and then you still have, you can still force twice, and then have counterspell, and it's like almost impossible to conceive of a hand that allows him to get through all that.
Yeah, and like you just burned both of the pedals, and the second pedal is necessary to, or sorry, one of those pedals is necessary to even use the sneak attack.
Yeah, like you can actually imagine a world where you counterspell, you have a little fight where you're left with Pierce, and then the following turn he's able to go off over Spell Pierce.
Yeah.
It's much harder to imagine a world where you Pierce, he loses his 2 pedals, you force, and then you have counterspell still in the back of your pocket for next turn, and he's able to go through that.
The other thing that's awesome about Spell Pierce rather than Counterspell is when you win that game, because obviously Lauren was badly mono-screwed in game 1, you're going to be going to game 3, like, Richard's just going to be burning with anger that he cast the Brainstorm at the beginning of that turn. I think that like little decisions like that can influence the game like really wear on players.
Well, it's not clear. We didn't get a good look at Richard's hand, so it's not sure. You know, maybe he has to look for another piece. Because when he got clicked, his hand was, you know, he had 2 Emrakul's, a Gristlebrand. Who knows how much of that kind of action he's choking on? And maybe he wants to improve his hand marginally before making his push.
I think he was probably seeing if he just like brainstorm into like 2 free counters, you know. But it's another one of those things. It's just like, obviously Lauren's hand was so good. He had like landed Mind Sculptor, used it 3 times, started out with a pretty good hand.
Yeah.
Clicked Richard, you know, all those things that happened. It's not a question of Richard making a play that puts him, you know, dramatically being a dog versus dramatically being ahead.
Yeah.
But like, it's one of these things where a lot of the time it's better to try to win with the cards you've already got than try to win with the cards that are on top of your deck.
Yes.
You know? And like, just a basic thing like being able to pay for Spell Pierce, that's a thing. People play Spell Pierce. It should not be surprising to you as a combo deck player in Legacy that your opponent might have a Spell Pierce.
Sure.
Like, even in Standard, like the first thing I'd look to when I cast my Mind Sculptor, there's an open blue on the other side. It's like, do I have a Dispel? Do I have a Spell Pierce of my own? How much do I care if he has a Spell Pierce? I always assumed my opponent had a Spell Pierce.
Yes.
And then next, I'll be like, look, do I have 3? Does he have a Mono Leak? If he had a Mono Leak, why didn't he leak my blah 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 last turn? You know, like, always thinking about these angles, you know? And just like, that seems to me like part and parcel of Legacy play. People have Spell Pierces. Jerry says the opposite of you, like, you know, Force of Will is like so important. Jerry thinks if we just didn't have Force Wills in Legacy, there's enough Pierces and Snares and Plows and Thought Seizes that the format would be held under control.
Yeah, I know. It's like
it's hard for me to imagine that.
The Charbelzer deck wins a fair bit, and that deck basically collapses to Force of Will. So it's hard for me to believe that you could just put enough Pierces and Thoughtseizes in your deck to have a good matchup with that. Because you lose every time you're on the draw, or you're almost certainly dead. And then you're not even 100% on the play. So
Yeah, so I think like you're probably right. It's like, and I think most people don't even know how to play Force Will against Dredge. Like you can beat Dredge with Force Will, but you have to Force Will the right stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Assuming people are going to play the matchup against Dredge Will presupposes a lot because people don't test against that deck.
Didn't Adam Prozac win an Open with it not that long ago?
Yes. I chastised it for him thoroughly when that happened.
Volcanic Island for Richard's Head. You know what I love most about Magic the Gathering? That like the first time somebody plays a land across the table from you, like let's say it's like a Scalding Tarn, right? Like the number of universes that can happen after that are like they're so dramatic. Like especially in Legacy, like it could be a Volcanic Island, and that Volcanic Island could be in Sneak and Show, or it could be in Underground Sea, and that Underground Sea could be in Storm, or it could be in Stoneblade, you know?
Yeah.
Or it could just be like a mountain that you were gonna play, you know?
Right.
And it's just like a Scalding Tarn opens a door, and when it cracks, like you start walking through the door, and you just are transported to this place of so many different possibilities. That's what I love most about Magic.
Yeah. It's actually why I don't like the fetches, because it actually conceals the information for too long.
Yeah.
All right, so Stoneforge Mystic is going to be the first play of the game here by Lauren. Finding a Sword of Feast and Famine.
Feast and Famine hits heavy. The most depressing thing, I think, in the Caw-Blade days was the number of times that my opponent played a Stoneforge Mystic on the play, or even on the draw, you know, when you're down, you start down a card, and you're just like, into the Royal that no kicker. Like the number of times that it's probably hundreds of times I've just made this player just like into the Royal that no kicker, and you're just like, you win still, but it's they're like so happy that you just into the Royal their Stoneforge Mystic.
Yeah.
But the downside is just unspeakable, right? Like.
So Richard had a chance there to shove in a naked sneak attack there with Lauren tapped out. This game's going to get, I believe, pretty rough now that Lauren is going to be able... He has Counterspell, Pierce, and Force in hand.
Pedal. Oh, he's
going
for it. Force of Will, Emrakul, Force of Will. He probably should have pushed it last turn. Here goes. 4.
The problem is that he basically has to start acting this turn because he has to tax Lauren's mana or resources somehow, because otherwise he's just going to be able to land Green Black Sword and start ripping apart.
He's got Force showing. He can't show and tell immediately though. I don't think.
Like, part of me would want to just Pierce here because it still gives you the opportunity to land your sword.
He's got straight Counterspell and Pierce. This is a bad time for Richard Centanni. I mean, Richard's got to force back. He's probably going to force with Force of Will, right?
Where we're at right now. You also sort of have to just play your cards because the threat of Green Black Sword is looming. Like, you can't help to build up a hand and then get another shot at this somewhere down the line because Sword of Feast and Famine is going to start attacking.
Force with Show and Tell. It's a play I'd make. He should have tried to land it last turn. I think you're right. Resolves?
Does he have Disenchant in hand?
Did he actually let it resolve?
He has a Detention Sphere in his hand, but I don't think he has anything to cover him from getting sneak attack this turn.
He just thought it was naked. There's an Emrakul in his hand, right?
Maybe he's still thinking. He might have just let the counters resolve. Okay, yeah,
Okay.
We're still on the stack. Okay.
It seemed like he kind of pointed.
You're like your Neil Reeves, Masashio Isa story of like, your sneak attack resolves, my friend. And it's like, all right, you're dead, obviously. Emrakul, all your permanents are gone. What did you think was going to happen? Crystal Brand, draw 21. All right, you're
off Pierce here. You think Pierce or Force? I think he pierces. Makes him pay with the Lotus Petal, and then just
detention spheres next turn. Yeah.
Yeah, this is like a disaster.
Yeah, the only way that this play goes bad for you if he's sandbagging Petal plus Fatty, which is very unlikely given his sequencing so far. Because he led with a Petal, so you can probably rule out those as his last two. Or like Simian Spirit Guide.
I think Lauren's just gonna force with a detention sphere, even though he went and got the land for the Pierce. I think he's thinking twice about this. He's actually,
his hand has to be so specific, and then you get to keep your force.
Yep. All right, that's a play.
I like it, Lauren. I know you're thinking there's like a 0.1% chance you die this turn, but it's worth it.
Yeah. Then
I like it.
Pray there's no days, right? Oh, doesn't matter.
Drew land.
Play the land first.
You probably would have dazed the Pierce too. I feel like that would have.
Oh yeah, of course he would. Brutal.
Sorry. Some counter spells and some spot removal wins another legacy match. Sorry, fancy deck. I mean, Richard's still got some game. He's got time. He's got a little bit of time.
Repeal gets him out of this, all right, right?
Oh yeah, Repeal's insane here.
But he's gonna chew on a sword here.
Does Lauren have another blue card in his hand for force, or is he just out?
I don't think he does, because I actually thought he might just force with a detention sphere. Like, I would have seriously considered forcing the detention sphere, because the detention sphere is going to be committed to the sneak attack anyway, and he's doomed if like a repeal resolves, right?
Yeah. I mean, if he gets to stick his sword and hit, then he can just hard cast. He can leave up hard cast Force of Will mana.
Force of Will. Exactly.
I like it.
I like it a lot.
Good play by Richard there. Gives him a lot of time to build up a hand.
Huge play.
Lingering Soul still just in the hand.
Why didn't Lauren attack?
He has Batter Skull.
Oh, okay.
Speeds up his clock.
Of course.
Yeah.
I didn't see it Batter Skull. I'd rather be getting hit by Batter Skull than be getting hit by Feast and Famine right now.
Oh yeah, no question.
Not that getting hit by either one of them is particularly great. Like, because especially if you're playing an Emrakul-based deck, like that just elongates the chicanery.
And now this is a spot where Lingering Souls is actually halfway decent because he can actually take an Emrakul shot and not die. His 4 permanents to sack. He's just leaving up his Force of Will though. He definitely should have played his land net though because he's like in Daze territory.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Through the breach. Let me read that.
Yeah, if Lauren gets dazed here, it's a disaster. I just don't think he just didn't play his 6th land. Okay.
So what's he got? Emrakul and
we're probably in the clear now for Lauren because if he the Ancient Tomb shut off for mana after this attack.
So 4 or 5, yep. Oh, Mind Sculptor. Game Boys. Let's look at, you gotta look at the top card. That's what matters, right?
I think so. Almost certainly just want to Fate Seal Richard here.
Yep.
Excellent choice.
Correct. It is an unknown. Yep, keep it. 5U. Put you to 1. Turn off Ancient Tomb. And draw.
It's probably a really good one.
City of Traders.
And that's it. Lauren Nolen, 2 games to 1 over Richard Centanni. A ton of, you know, if you're watching from the side and you're just watching the stuff that's entering play and leaving play, those matchups seem pretty like, yeah, the sneak attack guy just shoves his hand and the Esper Blade deck can stop it or it can't, and that's the way the game plays out. And there's a ton of decision making to be done on both sides of that matchup.